Did you hear what said?
Did you hear what said?
Did you hear what said?
And here we go. Mom,
I've heard that before.
you have
Wondering if it's catching on.
sticking with it.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
We'll see.
Well, thank you for coming on and coming tonight, even though it's late. I appreciate it. We weren't going to do it in the first place.
Dude, nobody knows if it's 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night. It's black screen. So
Well, it's 10:37, so.
just
I'm trying to avoid what's about to happen. So
I'm
if
just
you
gonna
haven't picked
see
on it, picked up on it.
how good is said
Mm-hmm.
at said
Mm-hmm.
when he's the first guest.
All right. Okay. Go for it.
You're the guest, but you're also the host. So I'm going to let you, to a point, host.
Well, so my question is, before we came in here, you said that I gave you the card and you wanted to come in here.
Okay.
We weren't even going to do it tonight. That's the thing.
Okay.
We weren't going to do it tonight, and it's because,
So do what? So you invited me over for
yeah.
basically like a first trial run.
Yes.
So by the way, note to yourself, I didn't sign any fucking consents. So we shouldn't be sitting here at this table until I read and sign my consents.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm your mother. You can trust me to the day I die.
Mm-hmm.
But first rule of thumb, you don't bring anybody in here through that door until they've signed their consents.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they at? Don't even got them printed?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have them printed?
I have them printed. They're not here.
Then what good does it do you? So you're not even prepared for your first guest.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have consents.
Mm-hmm.
So truthfully, yeah, we shouldn't be in here.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't even think about doing your next person without having them paper consents here and signed. If they can't sign them consents, then you can't do the show.
You know, that's why I called you and asked you where were you?
Because you were going to get the consents.
I was going to put it in a PDF form.
Yeah, you should have did it.
I was going to do it while we were out there.
So that taking off points for that. Okay, so yeah, that me be a mom and us preparing.
Mm-hmm.
That was my big stickler that I was going to make sure you did, and I actually forgot all about it to this moment, and I was going to wait and see what you did, and how you did it, and I was going to critique all of it, but we didn't even get that far. So, because when I came in, for one, I hadn't ate, so you were going to make sure I ate. For two, you seemed emotionally not in a good spot. You verbally said you weren't sure if you wanted to do the podcast because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we started to have conversation, right?
Yeah.
That yep sounds like a yep, like you can take it from here. Would you like to summarize what happened prior to walking in here?
Yep. Summarize what part?
The
'Cause there was a
hour
lot
that
that
we
happened.
spent out there talking while I ate that we could have spent in here doing a podcast. But instead, we conversated out there till I realized, you know what? We need to do the podcast tonight because you were in a better place after you had your discussion for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And reason being, you were in a very vulnerable state. Like,
Mm-hmm.
probably, in my opinion, one of your most vulnerable times
Mm-hmm.
that you could have one-on-one with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And if you but if you're anticipating your guest to come on your show and have a one-on-one discussion with you and be real with you with their feelings and their life and what they're going through and what they've been through in life, because you're under the understanding that your show, which you've expressed to me, when people watch it and they hear this conversation, they're going to be able to take something away from it, right?
Yeah.
So as I talk to you, there's moments in the kitchen where I realized, man, if we were in the room doing this as a podcast, this very subject, these feelings, these emotions, you being raw with all of that could help somebody.
Yeah.
So then, well, we got past that discussion, and I feel like when I flipped this card over that you gave me, that's a whole nother discussion.
It is.
Yes. So hoping to still extend that same raw feeling and that emotion, just me and you talking, to each other, and that can continue, and we'll have our trial podcast.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you wanting to do that. Yeah, I was in a vulnerable moment. I just don't know if I'd like to go into it, only because where's my red card? No. It's not here.
Important to have.
I have no escape.
So you
no.
should tap this.
It's all right. No, I'll go ahead. I'll do it. Without saying too much, I'll say what the gist of it. I'm at a point in my life where I'm really working on trying to figure out what God wants me to do. And it's gotten me all the way to this point. And I always tell myself, like, I can always tap back into my past to get me to deal with my present. That's not as easy as it sounds. Actually, it's like the opposite. It's not as easy as it sounds. Like, it's so funny. A lot of people, this might be a good one. A good first one. Because a lot of people I'll post a lot of stuff on Instagram. And my friend Liz and I, we were actually running today. And her and I while we were running, we were actually talking about how social media is very fake. Mm-hmm. And how a lot of people are posting fake, like, feelings and stuff like that. But what I think it is fake. A lot of people are trying to portray a lot of stuff, but I think it's a lot of possibly, like, our form of way of, like, trying to reassure and revalidate ourselves as to, like, this is how I am feeling, and I want to post it out there, but I want other people to maybe, I don't know, see how I'm feeling. I don't know. Anyway, I've been posting a lot about God. I've been having a lot of people message me and say, like, I like how strong you are, or, like, you're helping me so much, or your post is giving me courage, or thank you, or something. Like, I've had a bunch of text messages, guys and girls, and then I'll give them my number. I'm like, hey, anytime you're feeling bad, text me or call me, because I know what it feels like to go through that. But it's not all what I make it out to be.
What it looks like on Facebook or Instagram, what it looks like on the outside isn't what you're really experiencing, or what people may think you're experiencing. Yeah,
they think that they see the vacation photos, which I went through my whole Instagram and I took off, like, a lot of photos from, like, my past childhood, like, from everything. Mm-hmm. And I think the most recent one started with, like, the vacations and stuff, and that's all it is, just, like, vacations. I have no, I don't know why I don't, but I don't have any photos of any family on my Instagram, neither my Facebook. And I can't tell. I think that is not because I'm ashamed, but I think I'm trying to hide and protect my family from everybody. I don't really want people to know, like, oh, like, I think that's why I do it. I think because I just don't do it. Mm-hmm. I just post friends. Like, I want to say, because I've told you before that I don't post about you, or, like, Mother's Day or stuff like that, or even birthdays. Like, I like that stuff to be for me. That's sacred to me. It's not for everybody else to see. It's not what I want to portray. It's just, I have that in here, and I don't need for people to see that. It's just, I don't know. I don't know why. It's personal for me. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like Facebook to a point is fake. Of course, I don't do Instagram. I have one. Don't really do it. Similar thing, right?
Yeah.
And like you're saying, so in my opinion, it's like there's Cedric that's here at the house chilling.
Yeah.
And then if we go to a party, there's social Cedric will come out. Yeah, you're both similar, but you're not necessarily the same person. You kind of are maybe a little bit more outgoing, you know.
But I'm not like that. That's the thing. I make myself that way.
Yes, because you're being social Cedric.
For
You're
people.
Cedric who's at the party, who knows what's expected of you in a sense that you're there to be social, you're there to be outgoing, and you're there to pull the people in the party into your social conversation so they feel a part and they don't feel left out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
so,
I know how it feels to be apart and left out, and it sucks. I've felt it my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it since I was a kid. I was always that kid that never fit in with like the the cool group.
Mm-hmm.
I got invited to a lot of like parties and stuff. I just never liked to go because I just felt like my mind was just different. Like I just didn't feel right. I didn't fit in. So I don't mind. So when I see people, I know that's why I post to Instagram. That is why I post to Instagram. I post because I know it's hitting and reaching somebody.
But
That's
so are you
why
on
I do
Instagram and
it.
Facebook, is that not being social media Cedric? And
It
that's
is.
why you don't
It's
put
not me.
No,
It's-
but you're putting
it is,
on
though.
social media what social media is expecting and also what you want to put, but to a point you
Mhm.
know what people are wanting to see on there. So and you knowing what you're not wanting to share. Just like if you went to a party and you're being social Cedric, you're not necessarily going to bring up, hey, I got this mom and this dad and this is what's going on with them, my siblings, and this is what's going on with them. You may not. You're having other conversations about other stuff. You're not necessarily wanting to bring that in there. Just like you're saying you don't post certain things or pictures and on social media because that's not what your social media persona is. Yours is getting out those influential thoughts that influence people
Mm-hmm.
out there. I feel like that's what you use it for. It is who you are. It's what you're trying to express to people, that side of you. Because social media helps people who are there scrolling, reading through it all. And that's why when you post stuff and they respond and it's helpful or whatever, that's what you're using it for. You're not using it so you could hype up your family or show everybody this family that you have or whatever.
No.
Or share that you're pissed off at a family member. Like,
No.
oh my God, I can't believe this person.
No.
Right? So that's
I'm
your...
trying to use social media for good because I feel like there's so much negativity on there. And I feel like that's the only way, that's the mass way that you can reach people. And yeah, I can go talk to people singularity, like just talk to them individually. But the way I can reach a mass amount of people, at least my followers, is through that.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to because I feel like I'm making a difference whenever, even if it means just a little post that makes a difference in someone's life. And if it makes it in my, when I get those text messages, is the nicest thing ever.
Mm-hmm. And you've expressed to me how when you gonna tell him anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna pause it.
Just tell him.
I'm like, just.
It's a practice run anyways. Tell him from here.
I'll be right back. Hold on.
You think it's picked up?
I don't think so. But no. This is therapy.
Okay. So my point was that that's what you use it for. That's what you want to use your podcast for. Is my opinion is that I've seen you and heard you have conversations. People with their stories, you become pulled in by their story. You know, you're interested in it. Sometimes you get emotionally invested in it, and it pulls on your heartstrings sometimes, and you share your opinion in it, and you just feel like you walk away from that and you realize that you want to do podcasts, because that's basically what you do on a podcast, because you feel like the conversations that you can have with people, that people are so interesting to you and they have so much to share, that you want to have those conversations shared with other people, and as a trickle down effect or domino effect, help other people.
Yeah.
As you feel like it helps you, or you maybe help that person that you have that conversation with. Like you have those conversations, and then you want to go tell everybody you know, your aunts, your cousins, your grandparents, your parents, like, hey, I had this conversation with this person. They're awesome at this, they're awesome at that. This is how they got there.
Yeah.
They've also come through this tragedy or
Straight
whatever.
up.
And you're that type of person. So you just want that on a broader spectrum so you can reach even more people.
I am, because I always, like, if anybody asks, I always talk about all my friends to someone. I'm like, dude, this guy does this. He's awesome at that. Hey, this girl does that. She's great. Dude, she's going through this. Hey, I love it.
Yeah,
I love
you're
telling people
saying,
stories because
like, I just met this person, or I just met this person, and on the golf course, and this and this and that. And you're like fascinated by them and their story, and it's, you have a fascination with people and their stories, and how people at one point or another in their life had a struggle and how they came out of their struggle. And which brings us back to what brought us to the room today and the discussion today, which was to recap the hour before we came in here. You may or may not want it shared, but I'm going to try to recap it shortly so that we could address this card, because I feel like this card is the podcast for tonight. So you seem to be on a path currently of putting God first in your life, and focusing on God's will for you in your life, and making those changes that you feel are positive changes in following God to get to where God wants you in life. And along that path, and in most people's path, they have relationships, love interests, and that's what you have, and that's what you've had, but it's a rocky road one, to make it long story short. And you guys are on outs for the most part right now, but an undefined out, whether it's a flat and dry, I'm done with you, or is it, I need a break and I need time, without knowing how much time you need.
Yeah.
Whether that's an hour, whether that's a week, a month, or a year. Or more. Or is it infinity? You don't fudge and know. And that's, to a point, in a nutshell, what's kind of driving you crazy. But as we talked, I feel like there was a lot more there. Like an onion, you're peeling back the layers. And in doing that,
so I
did we not decide, though, that you're going to give that relationship
it's time.
no longer your headache, your daily stress, your every waking moment? Not that it was, but thought. You're going to give it to God and ask God to handle it for you, because that's what he's there for.
Yeah.
Because anything that we worry and we stress over isn't going to get us closer to our goals or what we want in life, because it's not what we want, it's what God wants for us.
Yeah.
And in his time, he's going to make it happen, but we have to give it to him. If we keep trying to just do it on our own, then it's probably not, it's going to take us longer to get where we need to go.
Yeah. The reason why this is hard for me to talk about is because you're asking me I get it. That's what I want this podcast to be about.
Absolutely.
And I feel very insecure right now because it's a part that I didn't realize was in me until like this week.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very fresh to me.
Mm-hmm.
So had I like realized this part of me as far as my rocky road, I guess that you'd call it, my little relationship that I'm struggling with. Had I like known this before, this exposed that part of me. It exposed my insecure side that I thought, I guess this is my other shadow, because that right there is my shadow.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I have obviously multiple shadows, but I thought I just had one.
Mm-hmm.
But this is my other shadow that sent me on that shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's making me insecure, and I guess it's testing I'm not a patient person. I am a patient person, and
you are.
But when I want something, like I really go after it, and I'm like tunnel visioned out, and I want it, and I don't stop, and usually until I get it. It's just something like I'm born with. It's something I probably took in my DNA from, I don't know, like my family, my dad. But I think God is putting me in a place in my life where I'm having to be patient,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm having to wait in time. He's making me something like you mentioned earlier. He's made me perfect, and to the not to the full extent perfect. But he's worked on me in things that I needed to work on to make me a better person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is like another singular thing that's like he's like said, you thought you had it, and I'm good. I've been good, so good about working on so many things and daily. I don't give up, and then this thing hits me, and it just blindsides me because I thought it's just so funny because right when I think I have it all good and going, I don't have it at all. Like, and God always seems to do that to me, and because we need him, and I need him now more than ever because I can't get through this alone, and it is hard, and because I want it a certain way, and I think that's a problem that a lot of people battle, is that they want certain things in their life a certain way, and they can't get it that way.
And when they can't get it when they want it, sometimes they want it more.
Yes, and that's where I'm at. I want it more than anything in the world, and that's why God isn't giving it to me, because it's what I want and not what he wants for me. And so
Mm-hmm.
I need to take my own advice that I give to a lot of people and give it to God, and like just don't let it take a part of me, because it doesn't have anything to do with me. Because that's what I did. That's what made me insecure in the past, was that it took a part of me. I allowed my first girlfriend to take a huge part of me.
Mm-hmm.
I was young though, but that was like my first love.
Mm-hmm.
And I resorted to drugs, and I went on a spiral, and that this just did that. It made me insecure again, and made me, I don't know
if this is time to mention it or not, or if this is even accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But I know, how long were you and
Go ahead.
first?
I wouldn't say
know.
it. No, go
know,
ahead. No,
right?
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
First
Okay.
love, how long were y'all together?
From 15 to about 5 years.
5 years.
6 years.
Off and on too, though.
Yeah,
it was
all very much
breakup
off and on.
all, yeah. But still, that was your main person.
Mm-hmm.
Starting at age 15, I mean, you're growing into a young man.
Yeah.
And experiencing a lot in life. I don't know. I mean, you can edit this all you want, right? You don't have to edit.
I'm not going to.
You don't have to air it or whatever. But my understanding of you was you hadn't smoked weed before until your senior year in high school. Actually, until day of graduation, but that may be wrong.
It was the week after graduation. That week.
Right? That was my understanding.
My first time, I never touched alcohol, and I never touched weed.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And you
Not even nothing.
I don't know if you did. You were like a try once. You weren't like party hard for a couple of weeks and decide you didn't like it. Like you never really experienced the party hard, drinking, come home drunk, or even puking everywhere kind of party night in high school that I know of.
Yeah.
So pretty much you were clean cut said in my opinion. You look clean cut, you dress clean cut for the clean for the most part, and the week of graduation you also had your 18th birthday, and everybody knows on their 18th birthday that they're living under mom and dad's roof, if they're still under mom and dad's roof, because some leave before then. But you think you're an adult, which is what I did when I turned 18. You think you're an adult. You don't have to listen to mom and dad. You can do what you want to do. You can come and go as you please because you're 18 now. You're an adult. You don't really consider the fact that you're not paying your own bills. Your parents are still thinking about you. They still feel responsible for you, whether you're out there getting hurt. You're under their roof. You're their responsibility. Is how they feel, and so they try to keep you inside that same box you were in before you turned 18.
Yeah.
And as an 18-year-old, you want to venture out and be an adult, right?
Yeah.
So, being the same week that you graduate high school, which is what a lot of people do too, graduate high school and they think they're free to go run and do and roam and be their own person. But again, mom and dad are there to say, hey, keep you in line, got to go to the college, got to do this and that. But what did you decide to do?
I decided to go into the wrong crowd.
Well,
so
before the breakup though, or it was around there, but you
were
said
broken up.
you needed to take the summer off.
Yeah.
Because you had work.
I don't remember, Mom. A lot of it's hard for me to remember back then because my memory damn near got wiped out.
Yeah. So you had said to your dad that you
at that time in my life.
You had worked since you were 16, and now you're 18, and you said now I kind of know why you probably said it. You were going to take summer off. Either it was the summer or the year off. Can't remember. And you were just going to live free, basically. Live freely. And I told your dad, let him. I mean, I think it was the summer before you should have started college, right? Community college. Yeah. I said, let him. Like, seriously, you're in between, just barely in between being a teenager and being an adult or having to do the adulting thing. If he wants to take off and be carefree, let him be carefree because he's not going to have this opportunity again, Because once you're an adult and you're paying for a home, you can't backtrack at that point. You just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So that was said on top of, back to you, your relationship went sour.
It did.
Which led you to
split up, and then I got invited to a party, and I usually say no to parties, and I said yes to this one. Mm-hmm. And I remember going, I'm not going to say names, but I remember going with this particular friend, and he was like, I'm not going to go unless you go. Or he's like, I'm not going to go. He's like, you're going to go smoke weed? You're going to smoke weed tonight? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, I'll go, but as long as you're going to smoke. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to smoke. So then I go, and then, we show up. Ced's here. And no, I'll never show up, Mm-hmm. So it's like, Cedric's here, like, what? And, like, oh, you're going to smoke? Oh, shit. So then we all go outside the party. There's like, I don't know, like, I think it was like 5 of us, maybe 6 of us. And childhood bestie from down the street was there. Mm-hmm. And, but I don't think she did anything, but she was just there. And so I remember, like a typical person who smokes some bud, they don't inhale correctly, and then I did, and they were like, no, you have to do it this way. I did it. Coughed my lungs out. Smoke came out a different way. It was clear. It wasn't the way, all puffed. And I went back into the party, and a friend who's no longer here anymore, he's not here anymore, but he was like, said, you want a shot? I was like, yeah. So then they gave me a shot of whiskey. Mind you, I never drank before and I never smoked before. Mm-hmm. And then the guy who was hosting the party, he was like, said, you want a shot? And so it was just like a shot. So I got crossfaded immediately.
Mm-hmm. Plus you were like $1.05 at the time. How
I was
much
very
you weigh?
tiny. I don't know. I think I was at the time. I was probably 5'8", 5'9", 5'8", maybe 5'7". I was short,
How
and
is
then I was like 130
5.
pounds.
Really? You
100,
think so?
yeah,
I feel like you didn't weigh more than 105, 110,
120.
maybe 114,
Trying to be
pushing
nice.
it. Right out the shower, all hair all wet with holding water.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that sent me on. From there, so then I did miss the summer of, and from there we led to friends who did pills. And I don't know if I'm moving too fast, but
No, you jump right into it
I
because that's
did.
just a lot of the repetition that gets you hooked. And
yeah, because it was just like smoking, and then eventually,
thinking you're cool, thinking you're having a good time.
but then you meet the pill heads that smoke too, and I started taking Xanax, and then that's when my life, I will say, took a horrible turn. Yeah, and then
To be honest,
Yeah.
you Smoking said wasn't a good person, but I'm sure you did. Obviously, you're saying you weren't as bad as you were when you started doing pills. So, but
I was
you
horrible
weren't
on pills.
Yes, but you weren't
I didn't
yourself
care.
smoking weed either. You weren't yourself, and we knew it. But the only one that can stop that, in my opinion, as a parent, is you. Like, I can't as a mom tell you, kid, don't go smoke weed tonight when you leave the house. Hey, when you leave to go to the store in your car, don't go smoke a joint. It's like that nagging's not going to help you, in my opinion. You have a path to walk in this world, and you, being 18, are an adult, and you have to live and learn. And you pray that your kid doesn't learn a lesson that they don't, that puts them 6 feet under.
Yeah. And I have,
By the grace of
friend,
God, you're
yeah.
still here, but not, and sometimes that's just God's path for you, is to not carry on this earth, but you are still here. So I feel like, he has a reason for you still being here and a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah. So once, I don't know if it's this first time you took pills, or it's the one story I know that you took
It's
pills.
the first time I took pills.
Yeah, you said that
I'll never forget it, although I forget exactly
You
what
forget
happened that day, but I'll never forget it in my entire life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That day we took, I remember we were smoking, and they showed me about it, and they're like, oh man, it gets you higher. But like, I call it the drunk pill. That's what I call Xanax. I call it the drunk pill. It's hard. What Xanax does is it shuts down your nervous system, and I didn't find that out until later. But I didn't feel anything, and that's why people like it. It's because they don't feel.
But at the time you took it, you were in an emotional
Exactly, and I didn't want to feel anything.
because you were heartbroken.
Yes.
Because you were broken up.
Yes.
With your ex-girlfriend of 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, 5.
5
yeah.
years.
By then, her and I, we were pretty rough off, and not rough, but like, we weren't talking, and my friends had me. Like, I just wanted to be with my friends. I wanted to get high. I wanted to be out of my mind. Like, I didn't want to think. I didn't want to be sober because I didn't want to have to face. Every time that I was sober, I was thinking about her. Pretty much. I was thinking about her. I was thinking about pretty much it. Honestly, I think I was just running from it. And so I ran to that. My friends, we would kid around and whatever. And we, the day I took the infamous day, I remember they gave me 1 bar. That's what they are, Xanax bars. I took 1 bar, and some people can take, you can split it up into 4. So they're called quarters. Some people take a quarter and they're good. Like, they're like, dude, I'm out. So I took a full bar. I didn't know this about the pill, and it was my first time.
And you didn't ask.
I didn't ask. I was like, fuck it. It does what? Okay. What y'all do it, I'm gonna do it. And I took it, and I didn't feel anything. And anybody who's probably took bars listening, if I do post this, anybody who has, they probably heard this story before from someone who's taken bars, if not their own. But you don't feel an effect of it you don't feel ineffective immediately. It takes a while. It takes about an hour for you to even feel something.
Sorry.
You're right. Anyway,
There we go.
so I didn't feel anything, and me being impatient, I wanted that immediate effect, and so I didn't take any. I took like another half, I think. I don't know. I'm just making it up. Bottom line, I took 3 of them by the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know how long. Don't know how quick.
So the first time you told me that story, I don't know how long ago it was.
Yeah.
I think it was before you were clean though, and you said you took one or
Yep.
half.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
And then you waited, didn't feel anything, so you took another, which sounds familiar on a lot of things with a lot of different reasons for people.
Yeah.
But yeah, and apparently that was way more than enough,
Yeah.
especially for somebody on their first trip with pills.
So I got in my Volkswagen,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember we went driving. I remember. So, you know, the funny thing, I don't think I've ever told you, the funny thing is when I used to get barred out or I was high, I always wanted to be around you and Dad.
Really?
I don't know why. I don't know. It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I always wanted to be around y'all, and I was always so loving. Like, I just wanted, like, I don't know. It was just the weirdest thing, and I wanted to clean. I don't know why. And
I mean, seeing how OCD you are
Yeah.
right now is kind of weird because I don't think you used to be clean. No,
No.
your room didn't used to be clean. Remember?
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was just a regular teenage room, but
Yeah.
not like your house. Like you
My
like
house is-
things in order.
Yeah, clean and sanitized. But so, which might be a reason why I'm OCD. But anyways,
so you went. Yeah, that's just what I'm saying. But dissociate too was coming. It was down the road.
yeah.
But you always wanted to be around us, but that day didn't you
Oh,
end
yeah.
up with us?
So that day, I made my way to the house. I don't remember this is all I remember from that day, and I could just be very, like, it's just vivid. I remember being in the middle of the hallway yelling at Dad about something. I just can't remember what, but I was irritated and upset with him. And then I remember my friends sitting outside the curb, but that was whenever I came out. 2 friends. I remember that's when I came out of the house. That's when I remember them. That's what comes back in my memories. Like when I came out of the house, they were sitting across the street. Not even on our side. They were across the street.
Because your
Yeah, I was gonna threaten to kill.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Because your dad threatened them to get off his property
He was gonna
because he
shoot
was
him.
basically blaming them for you being high.
Yeah.
Which in a way, they were the reason why you were high because they were your friends. They were your
I
friends.
took it.
Yes, absolutely. So you are
It's my
originally,
fault.
but he can't blame you at the moment because you're his kid. So he's gonna blame the next best
Yeah,
thing, which
I was
is
gonna
your
get them in
friend.
trouble.
And if he's upset with you, he don't give 2 shits about them. Get the fuck off because he needs off my
Mhm.
property because I need to deal with my kid right now who's high as fuck.
I agree.
So
So
in order.
the next thing that I remember happening was I do remember tackling Dad into the chimney, and I remember biting the shit out of his arm. I also remember the rage that I felt when I tackled him.
Yeah,
I remember
seemed
that-
like you let go of whatever you had been holding on to for some years.
Yeah, I remember the anger. I think I remember the tears running down my face if there were any. If not, they were in my soul because I remember being like, and I don't even think it was all towards Dad. I think I just wasn't in a good spot in my life, and it all just unfortunately came out. And the worst part of it all was my grandpa was there. But I got something for you that is gonna
It's not the worst part. Who better to have there but Grandpa? He's Mr. Calm.
no. Well, yeah, true.
He stayed calm during it.
So grandpa's there. I tackled my dad.
He didn't join the rumble.
I
'cause
remember-
Silas did.
Yeah. I remember my grandpa. I remember getting picked up and then like a pillow or like a toothpick just like getting like sat down
Okay.
gently. Because I know because I was able to put my hands like on the ground and like rest to the ground. And then the next thing I remember was my face is like off the ground by like a hand off the ground. And I remember Dad coming over, and then he like three-pieced me. Like, I remember he hit me like 2 or 3 times in my face, and each time thank God I was barred out. No offense, like I don't mean like that, but the reason why is because I didn't feel anything, and I couldn't because I was on 3 bars. You just don't feel nothing. Otherwise, that would have hurt. And my head, like I remember it bouncing and hitting is what I felt. Like it was just like boom, 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 real quick. And I think that's all I remember. Then I remember being outside, and then I remember going back to their place. I think I went back to their place, and then I remember losing my phone, which I think somebody
In
stole
all
it.
reality, said
Mm-hmm.
you went to leave.
Yeah.
And
Someone gave us a ride, right?
you couldn't leave because you couldn't find your keys.
Oh, yeah.
And then you came back in,
Stupid.
getting ready to leave, looking for your keys.
Yeah.
But you literally weren't there 5 minutes, and Grandpa said you just had your keys in your hand before the whole upset and uproar happened. You had just had your keys. So I don't remember where you ended up putting them. But honestly, I think God took your keys from you because you shouldn't have been driving.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have been driving.
Well, I that's one thing I will add is that my Volkswagen, I hit a pole or something because there was a dent or
Well, all
2
kinds of
dents,
jacked
and the
up.
tire was, the wheels are, the rims were all scraped up, maybe on all sides. I was doing something.
When we pulled in the driveway, the
Mhm.
car's all open like y'all did a car search.
Probably looking for something.
Probably the fucking keys so y'all could leave. But Grandpa said y'all had the keys. Like, even I think when we walked in, you were still looking for your keys. And it was just, you were not in the right place. You hadn't slept for how long? Do you remember? Or even after that day. It was several hours, several days or something you said before you slept. That's what you said.
I don't know.
But,
I don't like to remember. I don't know. I can't remember if I tried. I just be
sometimes
making
I
it
think
up.
it comes to you. But that was not a good day. Definitely memorable for the family.
Mm-hmm.
We felt like you had things that you took out on your dad that you were harboring, but maybe like you're saying now, it was all the emotions of that you were carrying with you, not just your emotions toward your dad, just emotions in general and in life, and you let it out at that moment.
I did.
And everybody was there in the family, and they pulled you apart. And your dad may have got his licks back on you when you were being held down by Grandpa.
I deserved it.
But
I deserved more than it, but I
as-
deserved those.
yeah, it's almost like it's
I have a feeling that Dad.
I feel like it's the
also
way
had
men
it
handle
cut-
things. I don't know, but I didn't see him do that to you, so I missed that part somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I did see Silas pull your dad off of you, and I don't know if that's when he did it. And then I don't know if you remember, then your dad started choking on whatever food he had in his mouth because Silas had him in a chokehold to get him off.
I don't remember any of that. I just remember.
Yeah, and that's when Grandpa
crazy.
had you pinned down. That's what I'm saying. I was there the whole time. I don't remember him doing that, but I mean, I could have missed it, and I could have walked out of the room in that time. But it was pretty crazy. But the fact is, it was kind of like the beginning of the pill popping, and
led to a lot more.
what you were living through.
Yeah, it led to a lot more. Here's just because I know it seems a little dark right now. Because, like I said, like the
Don't
whole.
be trying to crack jokes at this moment.
No, I'm not. It's something really beautiful about it that I'd like to just say real quick before we continue. Is that because we all started this with, what am I doing this for? What's the whole podcast about?
Yes.
I'm being vulnerable. Just to kind of remind, because I know we're kind of far into it right
Okay.
now. And I did go through this. This is my shadow that I'm learning that I hid away for so long, and that I was trying to act like I was perfect, and it's coming back out now, and it's big, and I'm talking to it, and I'm telling that this part is a part of me, and that I'm not afraid of it, and that it was hurt that I like locked it away for so long, and he was neglected. And so I brought him back, and I have told him, and he's told me that he's proud of me, and that he wants me to do this. This is what he wants me to do, and that he's here with me right now. And we're one, and that's to stop hiding from him, and that's going to bring other people out of whatever darkness that they may be in, not necessarily with drugs, but just, I have a lot more stuff, I guess, to talk about if we get into it, but the experience of that was huge for me. But just to shine some light on it, because it all started with me wanting to make people feel better, posting to social media, and trying to, because I know what it feels like.
Share.
And that's
share
what I
your
mean.
story
Because
and their
people
story.
think like, and people always tell me, and I always put it off. Like, I'll tell you my testimony. I'll tell you, but I'm like, nah, I'll leave it. Like, I don't ever really get to it ever. And, so this is why a lot of it, all of it we're talking about is why. But the beautiful thing I'd like to shine some light on is that the same person who took me away from hurting my father and picked me up and put me down was the same one who brought me out of the water, and he baptized me this past year. So there's a bit of a poetic justice with it, you know. He's the same person that literally picked me up, laid me down, and then also he dumped me in the water and baptized me. So I find a little bit of a, what was that? How many years later, Mom? If I was like back in 18 that I did that. 13 that I did that back in 2013. I don't know why I thought. I was thinking 5 years. 2013 that I did that.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 years later, no, 9 years later was this 21 when I got baptized, right? In 21.
Was it? Mm-hmm.
It was like September 9th, 2021. But this is making me uncomfortable.
Talking about
13.
it.
Yeah, it makes me itchy. It's funny. I just pay attention to my, like, if you pay attention to me and you know me, the first ex, she was really good about noticing little triggers that I have.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed them throughout the years, but this is the first one that's came back for a while. So what's that? 7? No.
Let me count my fingers.
8.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
please do. Because I'm in another world right now. I'm
sorry.
sorry.
You do the months? Hold on. Let me get my toes out.
No. But anyways, it's 9 years later, and I
Yeah.
finally came to Christ. 'Cause I don't want people to think that like it takes time for you to come to Christ, and it's not. And I don't mean to get off on that spill, but that just for me,
that's a whole
nother
new
conversation.
Because
but yeah,
that's started in it's your whole life, but
2013.
yeah, that's a whole.
But anyways,
whole nother conversation.
I don't know where to go from there.
I do.
Go for it.
Cause
host with the mostest.
Let's see.
Hostess.
So guest said. Just kidding. So where we're at is
back to the kitchen.
You went from being like clean cut said who hadn't smoked or drank in high school, which a lot of kids do, party hard, to the week you turned 18 is the same week you graduated, which is the same week you experienced probably your first true experience at a party at that age, and everything that goes with it, with the drugs and alcohol. And then throw in the relationship part of it, which what majority of teenagers go through, which is relationships, trying to pretend to be adults in a relationship and going through the whole heartbreak episode and the pain that feels, and you not wanting to feel that pain and wanting to cover up that pain and not feel anything because pain hurts.
Does.
You turn to more drugs and pills, which led into more drugs, since we're on the topic.
Yeah, I started. So just
how far do we want to say how far that went?
Yeah, we can go down the rabbit hole. It's not that hard. Because it leads to who I am today. Because a lot of people are like, "Oh, you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do this, you don't do that. Why? How?" And then they try to use this thing that, like, there's no such thing as perfection. Why are you doing that? But it's not that at all. And that's why people who don't know me and see that, then they think it's so like, how does he do it? It's like, nah, dude. There was a whole time where I did all of that, and that's what makes me not want to do any of that again, because I know who that person is, and he don't care. Like, I try to tell people, and they do not believe me. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a side of me where my eyes will not anymore, because he's gone, and I'll never be that again, because I'm telling you, wow, no. But anyways, making me think of the conversation with Grandma earlier.
I know. Hey, this is wood. It used to be wood.
It did.
Knock on that fudge and paper. Okay, fine.
God's got me.
Put it to God. Yeah.
So back to it. Weed, Xanax. So, I don't want to talk about it in a Xanax and weed. I had to do it together because it just the high that it gave me it's just different. It was just the combination was like I mean this loosely. It was a perfect combination. But when I was Xanax will put you to sleep.
That's
and
what I heard.
Yeah, unless you fight it. And so, but if you fight it, you're gonna have a good high. You can just be chilling, and it's just like a weird zone that you're in. You just don't care. You really don't care. But to wake me up, I did cocaine.
Nice.
So that would get me up. That would wake me up. And then, but cocaine's so expensive, and you have to do it every 30 minutes. And when you're out you know what the crazy thing is? I never drank when I did any of this. Which is crazy because there was people who would do bars and drink, and it'd be a double whammy, or they would do bars and drink and do coke because it helps all out, right? And so then I got tired of cocaine because it was great
because you can't afford it.
Well, yeah, but then and then it just the high wasn't there quick enough. Like it didn't get me up long enough. You had to keep doing it. And then so I did switch to ecstasy. And now ecstasy was like the kicker because that's why
I seen your drawing.
Okay,
I
yeah.
know it's coming.
Well, that's why that's
that
on there.
was the first time I knew about it. When I seen your drawing, I was like,
The dolphin. Yeah. Well, he's there because I remember. So this is how I forget how old I was, but I would wake up. It was a routine for like a whole year. I would wake up. I'd pop ecstasy in the morning to wake me up and get me going, and then maybe I'd pop a second one if I was getting tired around like 12 or like. I'd wake up at like 6 or 7 in the morning early, and then I would take another one possibly. So sometimes I did 2 a day, sometimes, and then I'd take a Xanax when I'd get home to put me to sleep, and I'd smoke, and then I'd do it again the next day. I kept doing it, and then here's where it got really. Not a lot of people know this one. Only Silas does, really. I mean, y'all probably do. But sometimes the ecstasy got me too jittery. And I was just like, needed to calm the fuck down. Excuse my language. I needed to calm down. And I would take like half a bar, if not a quarter of the bar, at my peak on ecstasy, and I'd pop it. So not only am I doing a upper that's extreme, that's coke based, by the way, the Xanax would in my head counterbalance that uplifting thing and make me kind of like zen out a little bit to where I was at a calm energy state. And that's what I was searching for, was like a nice energy state where I could be at, because I felt so depressed and so down, and I was still running from something. Emotions. I was running. I think by then, feelings. But I think by then I was already too far down the rabbit hole to where it was like, now I'm a drug addict. Like, I just can't live without it. It's not like, because I know some people, and I'm not saying drugs are good, but I know some people who can, every now and then they'll do one of the drugs, right? Hey, I don't know, they'll just do it, right? And I get that. I don't get it, but like, I can't do that. I've learned that I have a very addictive personality, and I'm starting to learn in my, I guess now it makes sense, in my relationship or my recent fallout, is that I had an addictive non-attachment type issue that I'm dealing with. And anyways, that's what it led to. It all trickled down to ecstasy. I started doing acid too, and then I would do acid, and ecstasy led into acid, and I've done that a good handful of times. And then I would candy flip, which would be ecstasy and acid at the same time.
That's like doesn't sound like a zen place to be living in. It sounds like a very, which obviously is when you're in a drug using state, just a, yeah, just
I don't know why I was
not
doing
a
it.
happy place.
I don't know why I was doing it, and I don't know why I kept doing it. I can't. I feel like, and I don't like to think about it. I just know
Because
that
I
was.
mean, it's an addiction. It's kind of like when people drink caffeine and they can't stop drinking the caffeine. They drink more caffeine. It's not healthy for them, but they're addicted to the caffeine.
So,
or smoking a cigarette, same thing. You're addicted to it. That's what addiction is.
oh yeah, I used to go through packs of cigarettes when I was on ecstasy. It's called chain smoking. Oh, you know what it was too? The music I was listening to. I'd say that too. There was a song. There was a Chance the Rapper when he first came out. His main song was Acid Rap.
Mm-hmm.
So Acid Rap, he did the whole album on acid, as far as I'm concerned, is what I remember. And I thought that stuff was cool. I was like, oh man, like Acid Rap, like he did what? And when you listen to him, he's like, he'll do like a little noise like, ah, that's like him tweaking. Like he's like, just, it's like cigarettes on cigarettes, mom, whatever. Like, so I was consumed by a lot of bad friends. And I don't say bad, they were lost too. We just
Friends
lost
with bad habits.
Yeah, and they didn't know no better either. Because I
Mhm.
don't mean to say that they're bad people, because they're not. It's just that it was just a time in my life. It was just,
But some people have bad habits.
Yeah.
Habits that aren't beneficial to
they're
do.
lost too. That's why I try to have some compassion for them.
Yeah, I'm not.
But no, I
knocking
know.
it, but it
I know.
doesn't. I'm sure there's not somebody out there that can actually say being a drug abuser is beneficial to your life and career. I don't know that that's actually beneficial. But
Other than Wolf of Wall Street.
did it end good?
No.
Okay, may have been good at the moment, but what didn't last?
It was movies like that makes people do cocaine.
Didn't last.
So, and then I think that was it. And then all that's going to lead into,
Is the card in a way?
it'll lead into the card,
the
but
backstory of as to what brought. So then, do we need to say that you,
can I see
you-
that card? I haven't looked at. You know
so
how hard
were
that was to make that
baptized,
card?
You did accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Just by the way, let's state
I did.
the obvious that we
Mhm.
keep talking about but not addressing. But it did happen.
I could talk about that. That's my
I
testimony.
It is. So save it since we're on the subject of this card, trying to get there.
Mhm.
So we have the backstory to your drug addiction, kind of how you got started or when you got started.
Mhm.
And so that played out. How long would you say you were addicted to drugs, or you did the drug ride and then it stopped?
About 2.5, almost 3 years, 2.5 years. 18 to,
18? Why do you keep going to 18?
so I was 17.
Oh, 18 years old. I thought you were being
Yeah.
2018.
Uh-uh.
I was just like, that's not
I
even
think
right
I
year.
was, no, I was 8. I just turned 18 because
Yeah, you turned 18 that
that
week.
week. So
Mhm.
18, 19, 20, 21. Because I remember 21, I bought an ounce for my birthday and we smoked it.
Nice.
I'm just saying,
Stories.
man, I got to bring it with me. I can't hide him
Man,
because he doesn't want me to hide
I can't
him.
help that I'm playing co-host and I'm also your mother.
Yeah, I know.
Even if I wasn't, I'd probably still have an issue like trying to be mama feelings for somebody else's child. I don't mean anything bad. What do you want me to whoop whoop you?
No,
Whoop whoop. Go Sadie.
Mm-mm.
Go Sadie.
he's good. So what were we gonna go with this?
Okay, so you watched. Do we need to mention the Netflix series?
Yeah,
Because not
I would
everybody's
love
gonna know what
to.
this means.
Okay. So I watched a Netflix series called Stutz, Stutz, and it's with Jonah Hill, and it's a film about Jonah Hill and his therapist, Phil Stutz. Phil Stutz has wrote 2 books called Tools. One's called Tools and one's called Coming Alive. And the movie, and it's so crazy because I was having a really bad night that night. I was having suicidal thoughts. This was just Saturday, dude. This was just, what are we on? What's today?
Thursday.
Thursday. There you go. I mean, this wasn't even less than 5 days ago. And, dang, this was after Thanksgiving dinner because we postponed it. So
we scheduled it for Saturday.
Uh-huh.
So you're saying you went home
after Thanksgiving, because remember I left Thanksgiving early too, kinda, not really.
earlier than everybody else.
Yeah, I left.
Stayed there longer.
I couldn't take it no more. My social said couldn't take it. I was tapped out.
You did good for the time you were there, but you weren't showing what you were going through. You were being social sad.
Yeah.
You were having your
I'm
conversation.
good at it.
Yeah.
I'm good at it. So I get home and I'm not feeling good, and it's just one thought after another. It's just a floodgate of like hell coming in my head, and I'm too busy thinking about my current the relationship I'm going through.
That's not going well.
And I'm self-analyzing myself about how I've messed up and how I could have done right. And then I'm having self-pity about, well, what about me? And you're not thinking about me. And these thoughts are just going back and forth of like, who's right, who's wrong. And I'm having anguish, and I'm just irritated. And just comes to a certain points where I was just pissed and sad. And I just didn't want to be here anymore. I was like, screw all this. God, I've been praying for this. I've been trying. I've been with you. And I'm just irritated. Like, not like a why have you forsaken me type deal, but I'm just like, I'm hurt because I feel like, God, I try so hard every day to live right. I try so hard every day to just a pity party of like, he knows. I don't even know why I try to tell him, because he knows what I go through every day. It's not, preach it to the choir. But anyways, so the movie Stutz, the card. So I text a friend and I was like, I'm having bad thoughts or whatever. She says, well, what do you like to do? Whatever. A lot of people tell me, what do you like to do? What do you like to do? I don't know what I like to do, to be honest with you. I want to do this because this gives me fulfillment, honestly. And talking to people gives me fulfillment. Like I think that's why I like the social setting, is like, I love making people feel better because for some reason people feel like they could talk to me, and I make them feel good because like I'm understanding that they need to feel good. This may be their one time out the week that they meet somebody that can make them feel better. And so the girl finally says, well, she says, I told her that I like comedy movies. I like comedy movies or like stand up, more or less. I've been watching a lot of Dave Chappelle stand-ups, a lot of Joe Rogan stand-ups, just stuff that makes me laugh, like give me a little bit of dopamine to lift my spirits up, because we joke around all the time. Mm-hmm. And